Where do you find dump stations?
How do you find hidden boondocking gems?
This week on the StressLess Camping RV podcast, we have Mark Koep back with us, and he's got some solutions for just that.
This is Mark's 5th visit on the show, plus some other things that he pre-recorded for us, so he might be our most frequent guest now.
Yep. Well, you can find the show notes, deals, discounts, and more information at our home on the web at stresslesscamping.com, where you can also catch our weekly podcast and more.
Don't forget to like and share, and thank you for joining us on the StressLess Camping podcast.
I'm Tony.
I'm Peggy.
And we're two RV industry veterans who travel part-time
in this trailer,
looking to share big adventures and help you with great tips,
tricks,
and discounts. So grab a beverage.
Yeah, we thought we were going to be outside today, but it's January, what is it? February 2,
something.
February 4, and it is so hot outside.
So
we did not want to go out there.
For all of our friends who are freezing their tails off, I'm sorry. We are here.
But you can see also out the window, probably you can see the neighbors' flags. It's also very breezy, and that doesn't make for good sound.
No.
So we decided to sit inside. We turned off the air conditioner. You're welcome. Except, hoo-wee.
The reason it's warm is we were last week in Southern California, and this week we're back in Arizona. So we're close to the southern border, and we're basically checking out some new campgrounds that have just been built. Of course, we'll have those details on future episodes.
Yes.
It's a great place to be at this time of year in the first quarter.
Especially if you don't like the cold.
Yeah, absolutely. Or trees.
Now, if you love the snow, then this is not the place to be. Yeah, and if you love trees, this campground, as Tony said, we'll talk more about it.
Yeah.
This would not be my first choice.
We will talk about it in the future, not this week.
Yeah, right.
But something else I want to talk about, as you probably knew, before the last campground, we were 10 days completely off the grid. And of course, what empowered us, so to speak. What empowered us is our solar and lithium system from ABC Upfitters. And I have to say, it performed fantastically.
So impressed.
Yeah, it just, there was one day where it was pretty cloudy and, there wasn't much sun, and we also got a DC to DC charger. And what that is it lets your vehicle's alternator charge up your battery kind of like a generator. So it's another system, but you're already maintaining your vehicle.
Right.
I hope. And that one day, we plugged the truck into the trailer for half an hour. We were good to go.
Now, I'll say, it's not because we were running out of power.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh no, we're only down to 70. We better goof around with this DC to DC. It was a good test.
I wanted to try it, and it worked perfectly.
It was perfect. And there was even a day, I think I was away shopping probably, that I came back and Tony said, we were running the air conditioner just because we could.
Yeah, we had to test it.
Now, in Quartzsite, while we were on our boondocking trip, it wasn't as hot. It was beautiful. It was really gorgeous weather. We didn't really need air conditioning. We kind of needed heat overnight. But this last few days in Southern California and Southern Arizona, Mamma mia, it's warm. I shouldn't complain, but
Well, anyway, the bottom line is we were camping not only with ourselves, but there was another system that was installed by ABC Upfitters, and 3 of the power packages, which are systems designed for Rockwood or Flagstaff by ABC Upfitters. And those were the only RVs there where I didn't hear the generator go off. Yeah. It was just really impressive. So if you would like a solar and lithium system that is tailored to your specific type of camping, and it just works, give ABC Upfitters a call at 574-333 574-333-3225.
That's 574-333-3225.
Or we have a video interview with them and more information at our home on the web at stresslesscamping.com. And if you are listening to this in your podcast capture, there is a link below to that. And if you are watching this on YouTube, there's a link directly to our information about ABC Upfitters. So check them out. There's some interviews and more information, and just good people doing good work.
We are kind of back to normal, you know.
Wait, what's that for us?
The holidays and the traveling and the opportunity to talk to people live on the podcast is way too tempting. And so, you know, the beginning of the year and Christmas time and stuff kind of all goes wacky. But we're back to quote unquote normal. We interviewed Mark Koep over the phone, over a video call
through the magic of the internet.
And so we have some words from Mark that we will play for you now.
Yeah, he's got some great new tips, so check this out.
We have the privilege of having our friend Mark Koep back from Campground Views, and you have been busy, Mark, with some pretty neat addition to an already awesome product. So welcome.
Welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you too. And I want to say great job on your content. I'm on your email list. I follow your stuff, and you guys have been all over the place.
We do what we can.
We try.
So tell us, I think, for the people who don't know what Campground Views is, maybe share some of that, and then the things you've just added make it even better.
Yeah.
Okay, so in simple terms, anybody out there watching or listening to this who has ever tried to find a campsite knows what a pain in the butt it is. You have no idea what it looks like. You have no idea if your rig is going to fit. And so up until recently, the only avenue you had to figure it out was to go read reviews. And so then you spend hours and hours, not hours and hours. You spend 25, 30 minutes reading reviews, figuring out if you agree with this person or not. And then in the end, you just kind of like, it's got 4 stars. Let's go stay there and hopefully it works out. Well, we've solved that for you. We have a technology that allows you to hit play and virtually drive through campgrounds. We now have over 3,300. That's 3,300 campgrounds across North America that you can go online virtually at the website, hit play, and virtually drive through the roads, look around like a Google Street View, and click on those sites for information. So that's where the problem started, and the solution we've presented to that problem is to allow you to virtually tour those parks. But more recently, especially over this last holiday period, we've had a website, campgroundviews.com. Many people have seen it, and they say it's nice, but it's not really the best. There's some other tools out there that they can go use. And I'll be honest with you, we know. Like, we've been building the virtual tours. We haven't spent a lot of time on the website, but now that the virtual tours have really filled out, we've taken a lot of time to really build Campground Views into something very powerful and very special. As of right now, there's those 3,300 virtual tours available. There's 17,000 campgrounds that you can camp at tonight if you wanted to on there. There are 7,500 free campsites listed on there, places like Walmart's, Cracker Barrel's, boondocking locations, and over 2,000 dump stations. All on a big map, all easy to search and find, and all available at your fingertips. And we will argue that we now have the most powerful campground and RV park search engine available anywhere.
That's incredible. And the boondocking sites and the dump stations are very, very new features.
Yeah.
Very new. We just added those. Like, and there's a reason why. There's actually a backstory behind this. So a while ago, when we first started Campground Views, we were adding boondocking spots, and there was a boondocking spot just outside of Zion National Park. If you've ever been there, there's a road in, you go through Rockdale, and you make the curve into Springdale, I think it is, or Rockford, or whatever it is, and then you get to Springdale, Utah for Zion National Park. And there's a river that crosses the road, and there's a little BLM land there that people used to be able to camp on. And we did our thing with that. We shot a video of it, and we added it to our website. And the next year we went to Zion, and there was no less than 25 people camping in that location when we drove by it. Wow. And then the next year the BLM actually shut that down. The only website that had that information at that time was us. And we took it very personally because we provided the information to the mass public that allowed them to go to a boondocking spot and ruin it for everybody else. And so we put the brakes on boondocking spots for a while until the market basically caught up. People really know how to treat boondocking spots now, and we felt like now that we've got the content around the virtual tours, it's time to add this additional layer for the many RVers who ask for it. People travel and, you know, they want to stay at a truck stop or a Love's or, you know, whatever on their routes. We've added those.
I see that question quite a bit. Where can I just overnight somewhere?
Right.
And it's a great addition. We've also used Campground Views because we use Starlink for our internet.
Right.
And we have actually had a tree damage our RVs. So you can be sure that we're looking at campsites that have as few trees as humanly possible.
Well, for more than one, we have Starlink, but then we also have solar.
True.
So if we're looking for a place that doesn't have full hookups, we want to make sure the sun's not going to cover all our the trees are not going to cover our solar panels as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So with the virtual tours right now, we have roughly 65% of all of the federal properties, so that'd be Forest Service, National Park, Corps of Engineers, those properties are available with the virtual tours. And this last year, we finished capturing roughly 90 to 95% of all of the state parks in the United States. And so the ones we didn't capture were the ones that were closed or, you know, they're remodeling it or whatnot. But we're at roughly, I think it's about 92% of the state parks in the United States. I mean, we're talking the entire United States.
Nice.
United States, where can I go? We have virtual tours all across the United States for all these state parks. It's amazing. Like I'll start watching the tours. And I'm like, this is pretty cool that we built this. Like, this is just fun to use and go tour through a campground. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, if you look behind the scenes at the amount of money that we didn't raise, like if you look at, there's entities in our space that have raised $30-40 million to build what are essentially review sites, and you look at the fact that we basically took out a home loan essentially to build what we built. It's actually pretty magical what we've been able to do and provide to the camping public.
Well, and it's so different as well. And I think we've been in conversations pretty close to the beginning of Campground Views too. And we can put a link in the show notes of the different times we've spoken. And every time it's like, oh, we have this ton of new places.
We have 12, we have 1,000, we have 3,300.
You know, it was a crazy idea when I started with it. We launched it during COVID with 143 or 146 parks in June of 2021. So that was during all the COVID stuff. And we're now at 3,300. It is actually an unbelievable amount of parks when you consider what's happened. And it's not me. It's other campers. I mean, this last year we had, at one time, there were 8 different RVing couples that were out there filming because they're like, we love what you're doing. We want to help. I'm traveling to these parks anyways. Can I shoot it? Yeah, grab a camera. We'll teach you how to do it. And these folks helped make it happen. So this definitely wasn't on me, but it was really a community effort. And the last step in this process was, okay, now we've got this amazing content. We need to make it easier to find, number one, and then we need to fulfill the other needs that campers and RVers have, and that was where we added in the boondocking and the dump stations.
If somebody is a campground owner, how would they get their campground listed if it's not already?
It's completely free to list. They just go to the website, and right now if they hit the contact us, it'll send us a message, but we're about to add in a whole workflow that'll allow them to submit their campground in there. It's completely free to list a campground, and if there's viewers out there that are campers and they're like, hey, you don't have this boondocking spot or you're missing this, same thing, drop us a message. We are very aggressive on making sure our information is solid because as you guys have been RVing long enough to know this, there's been a bunch of apps that have come and gone that have been like the kings. I mean, the most recent one would be Campendium, right? Like they roll that out and try to roll it into road trippers. And it's like, dude, we're RVers. I spent 3 months in my RV this last year alone. I'm about to go out on a month-long trip. I use our website. So if our website sucks, it means I'm getting lost too. So we make sure that it works really well.
That's, I think, in some like software circles, that's called dog fooding, where you use your own product.
It's good. I've never heard that analogy, but it's a really good analogy.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's you know, if you make dog food, you try your own dog food, as it were. It's an odd term, but there's software development has a bunch of those. So
When you look at the RVing space, and we connected, I think, before even COVID hit. Like, if you look at what happened during the COVID period, so many people bought RVs and so many people jumped in our industry, and a lot of those people, they stuck around. Like, they enjoyed it, and they came back. We're now really going into the first year that I'll call like a post-COVID period. It's more of a normal period going into this next year. And, you know, to the question of the private RV park owners, for the virtual tours, we actually sell them that service, and we'll provide that service for these private RV parks. And what's amazing is these RV parks, they make more money because they get more bookings. The campers that show up know what they're getting into, so they have a better experience, and it really creates this magical win-win. But we're in a bit of a backwards industry, which is why we focus on the public parks, because we could go do that. And a lot of the private park owners, we actually had, I'll give you a story. You'll think this is funny, and your viewers will get it. I actually had an owner last year at a trade show walk up to me, and with a straight face, they weren't joking, straight face to me, said to me, "Nah, this doesn't look like it would be very beneficial because none of my campers use the internet." I was like, "Are you serious right now?"
we talked to a RV park that we used to go to a lot. It was one of my favorites. And at one point, you have to actually call them. They have one phone line. It's a park with like 200 sites, or it's not a small park, right? So of course, when you're trying to call, it's busy. Finally, you get through, you talk to a lady who I won't say it, but let's just say she's been on the planet for a while. And I asked her, I'm like, why don't you put in an online reservation system? And she goes, we only have one phone line here. It would not work for us.
Yeah, we outside of like what we do, what the public sees with what we're doing, we also run a Facebook group for park owners. It now has over 4,800 members that are campground owners and RV park owners. And our entire purpose with that Facebook group is to try to raise everybody's boats, to make the operators a little bit better operators of their parks. And if we can do incremental, just get a few parks to do something a little bit better, we'll see those tides rise. And I'll be honest with you, now that we've done it a few years, we've seen that. There are a lot of park owners who really appreciate the information we share and kind of get out there to help them out. And so really we're at the point now where I think it behooves campers to start speaking up and asking for this a little bit more, because if the park hasn't got online reservations and the campers are not asking them for it, it ain't going to happen. So for like Campground Views, if you go to a campground and it doesn't have a virtual tour, we now have a box right at the top that says, vote for this park to get a virtual tour. And we're actually collecting that information on the back end. And then we're reaching out to those parks saying, hey, we've had 150 people in the last 30 days ask for a virtual tour of your property. Like, let's make this happen. And at the same time, when we capture that information, we'll send the person who submits it an email that basically says, hey, can you forward this on to the park owner? It's one thing for us to reach out to them. It's another thing if it's a camper saying you want this. And so I think this will be the year where the campers can really guide a lot of that, because we're at this pivot point where there's enough new park owners, and the park owners who have been running their parks for a while now know that they don't have all of the solutions in place to reach campers, and they're open to trying new things.
That's terrific. And then, so as a user, what are the costs of using Campground Views?
Campground Views is completely free to use. You can go on there and use it. Now we do have a membership, so there's a free membership and then there's a paid membership. And the difference between the two is the free membership, when you have that, you have a user account and you can save your favorites, so you can start adding, and we're going to be adding some trip saving features on there. The paid members, they get rid of a lot of the ads. So right now, if you're a free member, you'll go on, and if you want to watch a virtual tour, a commercial is going to load before that virtual tour plays. Mm-hmm. And we appreciate the commercial sponsors that have backed us on this. And we're actually selective on who we work with. We want them to be relevant and good products, so they're actually really good advertisers. But if you're like, hey, I'm going to be viewing 10 or 15 of these, and I don't want to watch these commercials over and over again, become a member. It's only $25 a year to join now. It's inexpensive.
It's a super deal.
Yeah.
Well, anything else that we should share with our audience about Campground Views? You've just created such an exceptional product here that's so unique.
I appreciate that. Yeah, so there's two big things that I want to point out on the new user interface. First off, we have added cell phone coverage. So we have Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T coverage maps. So if you can actually turn them on, and it'll color up the map so you can see where your coverage is at. So one.
Okay.
And then two, we have added route planning features. So you can find your destination and your origination, and it'll draw a route to you to that destination, and you can drag that route just like Google Maps and move it to different roads. And based upon where it's dragged, we will actually update the list of featured parks that we think would be relevant to you, and you actually get a list of those parks. And over the next 2 months, you're going to be seeing that feature really built out, where there's going to be a lot of additional stuff on there. And as I said before, all this stuff's free to use. Like you can create an account if you want to, but you don't have to. You can go on there and use all that stuff for free.
Now, is that route planning? Is it like RV Safe? I know some, like you can go on Google Maps and it just says, here are the highways, but...
As an RVer, as somebody who full-time for 12 years, here's my advice, and this is what I say very openly. Get yourself a GPS that is an RV GPS. Do not trust Google Maps, and no offense to the other players out there, do not trust any online Google-based mapping experience to map your RV. They do not have the data. I don't care what they say. They do not have the data and the routing in there appropriately. You would want a GPS like a Garmin that's for the RVs or for truckers that has the height restriction. So on our end, we were actually conscious of that. We do not want people using our routing to route themselves, because there's going to be railroad crossings, there's going to be low bridges, there's going to be narrow interchanges, there's going to be roadways that aren't suitable for a large Class A. Google Maps is there's actually a really good example, and it's still today an issue. If you were to route yourself from Laramie, Wyoming, which is in southern Wyoming, to Steamboat Springs, Colorado, it takes you midway through. It shows a really direct route, and it's because it's actually Rifle, Colorado. It takes a very direct route to Rifle, Colorado, a route that I didn't know existed. And the reason why I didn't know it existed is because 25 of those miles are on a dirt road through the Rocky Mountains. And Google still routes you on that. If you do that route, it'll actually take you down a dirt road.
I think I saw that in that movie with Robin Williams.
Right? Right? Yeah, so if you don't mind your RV going into a lake, then use that. So it's a good question. Yeah, we were actually very conscious about that design, that we want to be, basically, I want to use it the way I think you use it the same way, and I use it the same way. I'll use Google Maps to get my general distance, and then I'll plan my stops along that route, but then I'll actually use my GPS and do a little bit more research just to make sure that I'm going down the right way. Yep. I actually got a funny story related to this, and it's perfect. So this was last year when we were out traveling in the RV. We ended up at the KOA, Otaki Lakes KOA in Missouri. Actually, your listeners need to go experience that park. Amazing location in the Ozarks in Missouri, Otaki Lake. So we're staying at their park, and I didn't do any of the homework before leaving, which I should have done. And I just put in where I was going into the GPS. And so when I pulled out of the park, it told me to go right. So I went right. And then it told me to take another right. So I went another right. And we're driving on this road, which was the second right. And it started out paved. And then it hit dirt road. And then it hit double track. And then it hit trees. And I'm in an RV. And now I know I'm going the wrong way, right? And so I kind of looked at I drug the GPS down to see where I could turn around. And I saw that it dropped down a hillside. And then there was a creek crossing. And I figured by the creek crossing, I'd have a place to turn around. I kid you not. So we come around the corner and it goes down. Now it's like just a 2-lane dirt road. It goes down, it comes around. And that creek crossing was a river that was a half-mile wide. And I stopped the RV, and I'm just chuckling. My wife is loving it. She is laughing. So here you are, Mark, Campground Views. We're down a dirt road, and we're on a river. And I was having fun with it, too. So I got out, and there were 2 locals standing down by the river with their fishing boat, because they're launching their fishing boat where the road is supposed to be. And I walked up, and I just simply said, they kind of looked at me, and I said, Yeah, I'm that guy today. I said, I follow the GPS. I said, I trust there's no bridge around here. And they just started laughing, and they were like, no kidding you, at least once a year, a big rig or a car gets stuck out in the middle of that river because they just follow their GPS right into it.
Oh, come on.
Well, that's like that road where we used to live. There was a really twisty road, but it was the shortest route to the town near where we lived.
Yeah.
And it was regular that, first of all, there's all these signs that says no vehicles this big on this road, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah, but there wasn't a river to cross.
no, that's true. But how many of those big rigs did they have to
they
crane off the side of
signs,
the mountain?
And they would fall over the edge of the road because the road wasn't wide enough for their length.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, try. One of the things with an RV is anybody can buy an RV, and I'm guilty of this too. I'd never driven a big vehicle, and then I got an RV, and I realized, hey, there's these yellow signs along the highway. Those actually are talking to me. I mean, in a car, you just ignore 45
those,
around a corner. You hit it at 75.
Right.
But when you're in an RV, that 45, that means 45.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're not. It's money well spent on the signs.
Especially if Grandma's trying to get the cottage cheese out of the refrigerator at that time. When I was a kid, we were traveling. My grandfather went around a corner too fast. The cottage cheese landed on the carpeted floor of the RV. That was a big mess.
This last year, so I've always been a trailer person. We had fifth wheels when we were full-timers. Then we had a little hybrid pop-up trailer that we towed around for a bit. And this last year, we have a newborn baby. So I bought a Class C RV. It's different. Anybody who's done it, it's. I was shocked at how different traveling in an RV, a motorhome, is compared to a trailer. Like your setup and breakdown is different. The amount of miles you can do with a drivable RV versus towable is significant. Like towing a fifth wheel, 300 miles in a day, I was done. 300 miles, I'm done, right? With Class C, I did a 650 mile an hour day. Now I was done at the end of 600 miles. Like I'm not saying I walked away happy, but that was a significant change. And so just a little background for your audience. Like I walk the walk. Like we live the RV lifestyle. We travel around. We know what we all want. So we try to serve and feed that need.
Yeah, and you do it so well. And also congrats on the new baby.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's number 3. We've got a 12-year-old, a 5-year-old, and the newborn. So
wow,
life's good.
That's good. Well, Mark, it's always a pleasure.
Yes.
And we look forward to sharing this with our audience. And if anybody has any questions, they can reach out campgroundviews.com and or submit campgrounds or any of those things. Mm-hmm.
The big thing we ask people to do is write reviews and then also tell your favorite parks if they don't have a virtual tour to look into getting one. We know the value of it for these parks. We just need the campers to start telling these owners that they want them to.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Cool. Sounds great.
Well, we're back, and I just have one thing to say, and that's "Nar, mighty, nar."
You may have already noticed his shirt. We wondered if it was a little not appropriate, but we realized that we wanted to tell you about the FMCA convention in Perry, Georgia in March. And the theme is, it has an actual name, but it's a pirate theme convention.
Yeah, it's a pirate theme.
And so it's appropriate for the pirate theme convention. And this way we remembered to tell you that we will be in Perry, Georgia in March for the FMCA convention. If you are a member of FMCA, you might want to consider going to the convention. But then after that, on our way home, we're going to be teaching a girl camper class. It's been a while since we've done that, and we'll be doing that in Texas. And then we are also this close to scheduling a girl camper class in June in the Eastern Sierra, which is very exciting for us.
Yep.
So those are kind of the places you can find us this year.
IRL
in real life.
But
or maybe we'll pull into a campground and we'll drive right past you, and you'll text me and say, "Hey, was that you?" And we'll have dinner together, like what happened
so
2 days ago.
Yeah. So just to let you know, now the FMCA is the FRVA, Family RV Association.
That's right.
And they have been really working to be more inclusive of towables. which they had started as a motorhome club, and now they are really embracing towables, and their management is really working to do that. They, at the Quartzsite show, they reported that enrollment in the FRVA was up by 50% over previous years. And there's a lot of great information about the FRVA, including their roadside assistance, their medical transport. They have all kinds of really good programs, tire discounts, and more. I still say, if you belong to the FRVA, seek out local chapters or chapters that align with whatever your interest is, because that's really where you get the most out of the FRVA or any big RV club. But hopefully you can join us in Perry, and Nar will be there. Shiver me timbers, we won't be late. So this week, our gadget is a gadget that we have had since 2016 when we bought our first trailer, and it's the Magma cookware nesting pans. And we like to buy good stuff the first time, and buy the best and cry only once. And these Magma cookware pans, there's a variety of kits you can get. There's non-stick kits, induction-friendly kits. This is an older set. This is, 6 years old now?
They're making a lot of noise.
Yeah, they are. And what they are is they are a set of nesting pans, pots and pans, right? What we like about them is they nest, so it only takes that size
of space in the cupboard. Yeah.
They're really beefy. I mean, these things have been all over the country, and they look, they look used because they have been.
Right.
But
they're not dented or broken or anything. They just...
No, they have held up so well. And the neat thing is, in addition to the nesting, they have handles that come on and off.
I forgot to bring the handle. It's really easy on and off. You pull back a little slide and then just tuck it right up into that. And that's on like every pan in the set.
Yeah. Most of these are compatible with the oven. And so, for example, we baked some things for the gathering in these pans. And the neat thing is, not obviously, you don't keep the handle on when you're baking. Right. But when it's time to pull the thing out of the oven...
Yeah, reach in and put the handle on and pull it out by the handle. The reason that I thought to talk about these this week is we did a lot of potlucks while we had our meetup. And at least 3 campers brought out their food in Magma nesting pans.
And they're like, hey, we bought these because of you. And everyone was thrilled with them.
Yeah.
And we have been too. We, we used to own a bed and breakfast, and we bought these expensive pans that worked there. I'd say these are every bit as good as those really expensive commercial grade pans. Yeah. So, but smaller and they nest. So we have a full story about them at our home on the web at StressLessCamping.com, and we will put a link to that in the show notes.
Well, as I kind of promised last week, we had lots of potlucks, and therefore I have lots of new recipes. And we're going to go super simple this week. We are going to have bacon wrap dates. Funny enough, it's so weird. There's this store in Quartzsite that's a hardware store and a liquor store. And also apparently brings in some really delicious dates. So Tony had brought a package of dates, and during one of the potlucks, actually our friends Brian and Patrick wrapped the dates with bacon, and you bake them. And so, your bacon is really crispy, and you get that date and bacon. Now, they just made just bacon and dates, but there are all sorts of ideas for things to stuff the date with before you bake them and before you wrap them and bake them. So I will post the recipe with a whole bunch of different ideas for stuffing the dates. And then you throw them in this Magma pan and bake them. How's that for a good idea?
I mean, it's really simple. And boy, that was a giant hit. So, I mean, bacon and dates. How can you go wrong? Right?
And usually a lot of them are going to include cheese too. So.
Hey, I thought of something.
What's that?
If you go to that hardware store in Quartzsite, you could get drunk and screw, like Jimmy Buffett said.
Oh, my. That's for you, Brian.
Well, if you haven't had enough of Mark Koep yet, Mark owns a company called Campground Views, which I'm sure you figured out by listening to him. And he has this series of hidden gems.
Yeah.
And we have the last one that he has for us now, but I'm going to see if he would like to do more of them.
He recorded these some time ago, and we played, I think, in episodes 2, 12, and 13. I don't remember. I thought I had it written down, but I haven't seen the note. In a couple episodes earlier, we played his hidden gem videos, and then this is the third one that he sent us as a kind of a first look. And so now that we are exhausting that list, we will be asking him for more videos. Now, when we travel, we like to tell you about places that we've gone, but when we're not traveling, it's really nice to have Mark as a backup.
Absolutely.
So here's Mark's hidden gem for this week.
Hello there, Mark Koep with CampgroundViews.com, and today's Hidden Gem Campground of the Week is a location that many people overlook when they're going to the very popular location of Moab, Utah. If you're familiar with Moab, you'll know that that area has exploded tremendously over the last decade, with a large volume of guests going into the various campgrounds, RV parks, and boondocking spots around Moab. Moab is very popular for folks that are looking to go off-roading, whether it's in Jeeps, mountain biking, that type of adventurous outdoors, and there's some beautiful spots in and around the Moab area. But as a result, it's oftentimes difficult to get a campground right inside that location. So what I'm going to do is show you a state park that's nearby. This is actually in Green River. It's located off of Interstate 70 north of Moab, and it is Green River State Park Campground. What's interesting about this location is it was recently renovated. They added a number of water electric sites to the location, and it's a very convenient location if you have a large RV and you're going to be traveling into and off-roading within the Moab area. There is a golf course immediately next door, and as the name implies, it can be quite green here, especially in the spring. This area, including all of Moab, is very hot in the summer times, and so there are very large cottonwood trees throughout the campground that provide ample shade. The sites themselves are decently spaced. You're not right on top of your neighbor, but you are relatively close. So it's not very private. It is more of a state park style camping, but the location itself is quite scenic. And as I noted already, it's convenient to the Moab area. The great thing about this state park is it's lesser known than a lot of places in the Moab area, and as a result is more likely of a place where you can find campsites. We do have a full virtual tour of the property that allows you to click on the sites and get more information and even drop in to book them. But if you're headed to the Moab area, you're looking for a campground that people may not be aware of or may be available when other ones are not available, check out Green River State Park Campground and let us know if you like these hidden gem campgrounds for your use.
Last week, of course, we also asked you our question of the week, and it was, what is your RV story? You know, last week we had all the people that were camping with us tell their stories, and we didn't get a lot of response yet on the group, so I'm leaving it because I really want your story, and maybe I didn't ask the question in a way that made sense. When, why, how did you start RVing? Or, you know, like, was it something you just did late in life? Was it something you've done your whole life? Do you camp? Do you travel? Are you full-time? Are you a weekender? Are you know, tell me about your camp life. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, what is your RV origin story? Maybe it might be another
way.
Yeah, and you can answer that at our fun and friendly Stressless Campers Facebook group. And even if you're one of the people who might be thinking of leaving, oh no, don't go yet.
Yeah, don't leave Facebook yet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right.
Is that what you meant?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't.
I thought, I didn't know where you meant.
Discussion
if
of,
you're thinking of leaving,
Facebook.
wait, we're going to be done in 4 minutes.
No, Facebook. If you're thinking of leaving Facebook, it's a reason to stay.
Yeah.
At least we think so.
We think so. We do keep it fun and friendly and nice and kind. And so if for no other reason to stay on Facebook, just hang out with us at the Fun and Friendly Facebook Campers Facebook group.
Facebook Campers.
Fun and Friendly Stressless Campers Facebook group.
Yeah, that one. And did you know that we do a once-a-week newsletter?
I couldn't remember the word newsletter.
I couldn't remember the word newsletter. Whoa, man, it's hot in here.
It is hot in here.
It's getting hot in here.
We do that once a week newsletter. It's absolutely and positively free. We send you the news that we've read, you know, videos and podcasts and stories that we have seen going on around during the week, and remind you that our podcast is out. And that is the only reason that we use it. We don't sell it, we don't give it away, we don't spam you. We just remind you once a week and give you some stuff you might want to read and look at.
Yep, and you can find the show notes, including links to Mark Koep's other appearances on the StressLess Camping podcast at our home on the web at StressLessCamping.com. And look at the podcast page. And, well, this week it'll be the top one, but next week it'll be the one down. And the following week it'll be 3 down.
Oh, boy.
And guess what?
It's 293 this week. So if you're looking specifically for 293 and it's a year and a half from now, you don't have to scroll 70 spaces down.
And in 7 weeks, it'll be episode 300.
That's right.
So you might also weigh in what you think we should do, anything special for episode 300.
Yeah, kind of party hats or something.
Ooh.
Yeah. Don't forget also, when you're on our website, to check out the deals and discounts page. We try to get new deals, new discounts all the time, and we're still working on the one for that Slinky stuff from last week. So I know that some of you are like, hurry up and get the discount. I'm ready to buy.
Yeah, right? Did you hear something you liked? Don't forget to share with your friends or share in all the social places, because sharing really helps us out. So with that,
like and subscribe, share, and have a great week. Until we see you again,
StressLess Camping. My gosh,
turn on the
it's
air
hot.
conditioner.
Yeah. Oh, it's hot.
We hope you learned a lot and had some fun and got some tips for your next StressLess camping adventure. We're honored by your reviews on Apple Podcasts, which helps others find us too. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on the adventure, and we look forward to your joining us next week. Until then, happy camping!